everyone. My name is Moldenhauer, and I'm Managing Director of Expert Powerhouse, Europe's fastest growing consulting network. We're helping all over the world teams with on-demand consultants, and we're serving more than 300 leading companies in consulting and industry with freelance talent. It's my pleasure with you to start today our 13th episode of our EPH talk. And as we have quite a number of participants, I would like you to share in the comments from where are you joining in today. It's super easy. Just go to the comment section and type in from where are you joining in today. And we'd love to know a bit more about our audience today for this LinkedIn Live episode. And of course, in terms of logistics, I also like you to invite you to follow our LinkedIn page, not to miss out on any upcoming LinkedIn Live sessions. It's super easy. Simply click on the bell and get notified about news from Expert Powerhouse. Now, today, we are going to speak about next level business travel, a topic of high relevancy, of course, for all consultants and consultancies. And I will speak today with Kim Ruiter, will join us shortly. Kim is the head of sales for Northern and Eastern Europe at Uber for Business. And of course, she will give us her insights today on what next level business travel means for consultancies in the future. And I can promise you that she has a great level of energy and a great drive. So, of course, also to make a consultant's life a lot easier and cost effectively. So with further ado, it's my pleasure. Kim, welcome.
Hey, Christian, thank you so much. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, very, very cool. Thanks for making it today. And it's really, really true pleasure speaking with you. Kim, I have to say, I'm also excited about our talk, as I think there is some interesting similarities, generally that Uber and consultancies have in common. Absolutely. And maybe even similarities with Expert Power. So here is one. As I read, Uber operates on a gig economy model where drivers work as independent contractors on a flexible schedule. And of course, similarly, consultancies may employ freelancers or independent contractors on project basis, allowing for flexibility in staffing based on project requirements. So that's just one of the similarities, I would say. But of course, there's more to discover.
Yeah, I think we have more. I mean, at the end of the day, we both navigate our customers from A to B. And at the end of the day, we also get a rating, which we obviously do hope to get a 5-star rating. So lots of similarity indeed.
Yeah, and of course, customer feedback is also great, which of course is also super important for consultancies. Yeah, definitely agree. Kim, of course, and starting maybe also into our discussion, at Uber Business, I think you have the opportunity to work a lot with businesses and consultancies working very closely. And of course, we're looking into your perspective on day-to-day intricacies of travel management. Are there a lot of consultancies already using Uber for business travels? What's your overall take?
Yeah, so the overall take is yes. If we're looking at Uber for Business, so currently we have around 170,000 active Uber for Business customers. And if we're looking specifically to the consultancy industry, we do see this number growing. If we're simply looking at our year-over-year growth, again, consultancy is an industry that is rapidly growing. And therefore, we also do hope to say, and we hope to see that for the consultancies, we are a go-to choice when it comes to smart and efficient transportation, but also meal programs. So the answer is yes.
Okay, that is cool. So definitely it's relevant for consultancies. And I see, just looking into the chat also, we have a lot of participants today from Canada, from Amsterdam, from Germany. So I think there is a great traction and, of course, international interest also in that topic. Maybe to start, you can give us also a bit of an overview of, what is Uber for Business and how has it impacted the travel procedures for consultancies? Why is it relevant?
Yeah. So if we take a step back and we really start at the basis, so indeed, what is Uber for Business? I do hope that the majority of us today is familiar with Uber, has already experienced Uber. Personally, I also do hope that people have already experienced Uber for Business, but for the people that didn't experience Uber for Business yet. So starting with the basics, so if we're looking at Uber for Business, it provides a dashboard where you can streamline travel and meal procedures. So if we're looking at the impact that we're making with Uber for Business, on the one hand, we try to make a positive impact to the business, but on the other hand, also for employees. And if we're starting with the impact for employees, so for employees that are using Uber for Business, you can easily toggle from your personal to your business account, and then you enjoy the magical Uber experience. So that's for the employee side. And if we're looking at the business side, for the business side, we provide a dashboard that gives you transparency, that gives you insights based on usage, based on cost, based on CO2 emissions. But at the end of the day, for both the business and both the employees, we're here to create an expense-free life. So that's the basic, and also touch basing a bit on your second question of what is the impact that we're making in terms of travel for consultancies.
That's a lot of aspects, and maybe also let's go into detail a bit more. I was a long time consultant myself, so I remember those moments, for example, where in the evening you go out for dinner with the colleagues in a city that you don't know, and you go to the restaurant, and then you all have something to eat, and suddenly there comes the bill, and everyone's looking around like who's gonna take it, and one person takes it, and then in the end, once you do it, actually there is a lot of work that you need to do, and suddenly you discover maybe it's a bill that is too high and you need extra approvals for it, or you need to hand it in, and then you have to wait a month for the money to get back to your account. As a consultant, that cost me in those occasions at times like half an hour, 1 hour, just to get that team dinner reimbursed. So is that something what I hear it's not necessary anymore?
Indeed. So at the moment that you go for a centralized option, this is indeed not needed anymore. I think if we're looking indeed at expenses, it is a very time-consuming process, and that's exactly where Uber for Business taps in to make sure that we make this hassle-free. Unless you really do enjoy expenses, then maybe Uber for Business is not the solution. Otherwise, it is.
And how does it work for the consultancy on the other hand? Is it how do the approvals work? Do people actually have to allocate budgets, or can they just say, look, I don't know, here is some money, do a team dinner, however, wherever, whatever you order, and as long as it stays within the budget, it's all automatic?
Yes. So if we're looking into, if we start at how would you start with setting up an Uber for Business account? I think in the basic, it's quite simple. There are 3 things that we would need from the consultancy to set up an account. We would need to know what are the company details, what is the billing preference, and who is going to be the admin that's managing the dashboard. So those are the 3 things that we need to set up a dashboard. But then to your question, when we set up the dashboard, that's the moment where we can tap in to set certain restrictions and certain policies to make sure that all of the programs that we set up are in line with the travel policies that consultancies have in place. So that's the current setup.
Okay, and so it's super easy. Not on the one hand, consultancies could set it up for themselves, but also, as I understand it, independent consultants who run their own business also could use it, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And they would have no expenses, so I think that's a great benefit. I have to tell this story. I know we've talked about it also before, but I still, when I was consulting, you'd have to keep all the receipts. Your wallet would grow very, very big. And at some point, you would need to scan all those receipts. They wouldn't fit on the scanner, so you'd scan it. Then that goes somewhere and someone approves it. But maybe there might be also questions about it, about the tax rate and the 7% or 19% in Germany. And eventually, you would need to call someone and get it approved. And then, of course, only that would make it basically two payments. Yeah? And a long time later, you see the money. Also, you don't know exactly what it was that you actually submitted in the travel expense. And you had to account for it, because at times there were even errors on the company side.
Yeah. And, I hope you don't have to do that anymore.
I don't because I'm using Uber for Business also, but really interesting. And of course, to have that streamlined expense platform, I think can be super interesting for many of our clients, and as I understand, also not only for consultancies, but also in the business travel world. What I found interesting, really, that you integrate also meals into that offering. And can you elaborate a bit on how does it work with employee benefits in this context?
But before we dive into the meal topic, I would like to highlight a bit more on the travel aspect, because indeed, if we're looking at Uber for Business, on the one hand we offer ride solutions, on the other hand we offer meal solutions. But if we're looking into rides and specifically also into reasons why consultancies are, but not only consultancies, consultants are working with us, we actually see 4 points that are standing out. I think the one point where we spoke extensively about is that team or individuals need transparency, and they want to control their expenses. That's one. But on the second hand, we also do see that customers are working with us because they need to save cost. That's the second one. The third one is around teams that want to feel safe when they're traveling for work, where Uber for Business and Uber specifically very much taps in. And then the fourth pillar, one that is one of our core, in our core, but also personally a very one that is dear to my heart, is that companies want and need to track on sustainability. So just to your point, besides the expenses, we also tap into other value propositions and reasons why consultancies work with us. So that's my point on rides. To your question on Eats, indeed, we also provide an Eats solution. And if we're looking to the program for Eats, and specifically, once again, focusing on consultancies, what we see here is cases as late night meals, cases as ordering lunch for clients when they're coming in the office. And the third one is meals while traveling. I think, Kristen, you gave the example when you're traveling and you have to split the bill. If you go to a restaurant, I think nowadays more and more we do see that if people are traveling, they go one day for a restaurant and one day they might go to the hotel and order Uber Eats, and that's a case that we see more and more as well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you summed it up, in terms of benefits. If you even condense it a bit, so in what ways can consultancies benefit from the features of the account without incurring additional expenses?
So if we look at currently, I think it's important to say that consultancy can benefit from Uber for Business, with no additional expenses or investment. Uber for Business, we really do focus on the cost saving and the efficiency part. And then if we're looking into the first place, how can consultancies benefit, is when you start working with Uber for Business, you get insights into your usage. So with that insight of your usage, you create a starting point of your current expenses. And only if you know what you actually spent, that's also the moment when you can start saving. So that's on the one hand in terms of cost savings. On the second hand, or the second point, with Uber for Business, you can also enjoy cost saving. What we see is that companies can have a 30% cost saving. And this is a research that is conducted by SAP Concur. And with SAP Concur, we stated that Uber rides on average are 30% less compared to local taxis. And in this research, SAP also conducted that Uber is the most frequent used item. So in that way, the consultancies can benefit from the dashboard.
I found it super interesting also what you mentioned on the use cases and the data analysis, of course, because I think a lot of consultancies these days have that in common, that they analyze data for the client. They take their conclusions. So I think it's very close at the heart. I'm not sure if analyzing the travel costs is at the heart of every consultancy yet. But do you have some use cases to spare? Maybe some interesting things that you found out with that analysis? As I understand, it's the starting point to look into the savings that you can do.
So I think one example that we can disclose is a case of Zoom. Well, today we're not on Zoom, but I think many of us are leveraging Zoom and are aware with it. And I think this case is quite top of mind. Reason why is because the head of operations, he had a quite bold statement where he stated that Uber for Business has saved time and headache. And if we're diving into this case specifically, the expensing ground transportation at Zoom used to be a very challenging process for the employees, but also for the finance team. Why was it a challenging process? Tracking was hard. Collecting and accounting for all the details were difficult. However, when Zoom started implementing Uber for Business, employees now had access to the Zoom profile in the app, where once again they could easily in the app toggle from rides directly to Zoom. So that was for the employee, but then on the other hand, again, for the business, we ensured that we streamlined the processes, sent all of the relevant documentation directly to the finance team, and making reporting and accounting more efficient. So to that point, to conclude, Zoom employees have responded very positively to this change, finding the system easy to use and appreciate the seamless experience that we're after with Uber for Business.
Great example. And maybe at this point, also looking again in to our participants. Of course, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat. We love to hear your questions, and we take them later in the Q&A. Also, please be reminded, of course, among all participants, there will be some vouchers for Uber Business that we will share later. So please stay on. And we will, of course, do that later after the session and announce also the winners. If there are questions, please put them in the chat. Kim, coming back to the benefits also. One thing that struck me is that you said, okay, sustainability is also an advantage that you get with a platform. And I think that for me is something I didn't think so much about it, because of course, yes, there is the points with the invoices and the expensing. But what is meant with that sustainability point, and how does it help also companies?
So I think that the first point to mention is within Uber and at Uber for Business, we are all very passionate about sustainability. I think if we're looking, first of all, if we're looking at Uber and our commitment, we have committed to a road to zero emissions, where we say that in 2040 we want to ride fully electric. So that's a first. I think the second point, so specifically, again, looking at consultancies, looking at companies, we provide support to the road to zero for companies. And how are we doing that? By offering options as Uber Green, Uber EV, where we do help reduce the carbon footprint. And of course, like we do know, it's the moment that you decide as a consultant to step into an Uber Green, it is a small step. However, if we all do decide to take that Uber Green, we will make a big impact. And that's how consultancies can be part of that journey. And to that note, also because it is, on the one hand, it is important for all of us to take steps into a sustainable direction. But on the other hand, once again, we would also need to create a starting point. And that's exactly what Uber for Business provides. And what do I mean with that? So within the dashboard, you have a sustainability tracker. And within this sustainability tracker, there are lots of things, but there are two things that I want to highlight. On the one hand, you can track your insights to your CO2 tracking. But on the other hand, it also gives you a percentage of the Uber Greens that you're currently taking. And once again, like these insights, this data, you can turn into actionable items. And this is also something that we see that companies are doing more and more. So we see more and more companies that set specific goals towards the electric vehicles that they're taking. And to that point, that's the contribution towards the sustainability initiatives that we're having.
So for the admin, basically, it would be possible to say, look, our consultancy uses at the moment so many Uber vehicles, and this is the CO2 footprint for the full year that we had with all our, let's say, car travel, for example.
Correct.
I think that is super impressive, because I think that so far only could have been done with assumptions, of course, that you do very rule of thumb assumptions, and there are some models behind it, and now you can see it in one platform. I think it's really great to have that. And so in order to get that done, is it difficult to set up such an account?
No. So like once again, the 3 steps to set up an account are the company details, the payment preference, and who is going to be the admin of the dashboard. And those are the 3 things that we would need to set up the dashboard. As simple as that.
Great. I think we've covered a lot the car travel. Yeah. Personally, I mean, it's the evening. I'm getting hungry a bit, so let's switch over us a bit, talking about food. Yeah. And I think so. I think. What is your experience? Are companies using that a lot, and what can consultancies basically take from the food offering that you have integrated in Uber Eats and Uber for Business?
Before I answer your question, Christian, if you share your location later, I will make sure that we will have some Uber Eats delivery coming at you and your colleagues.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. But to that point, so if we're looking at Uber Eats and the cases that we're seeing with consultancies, as already briefly mentioned, so it's the late night meals, lunch for client meetings, and meals while traveling. But just to give an example of how this works for the business, so you can create an Uber for Business dashboard, and within this dashboard, you can set requirements in terms of location, time, budgets, and then your sets. So as stated, for example, we have it here at Uber from 7 o'clock in the evening. If I am going to work late night, then I can order Uber Eats. It's and then the restrictions are a certain budget, but also location. So I can only order an Uber Eats late night meal in the Amsterdam office, because that's where I'm based. And those are the requirements that you can set for within the dashboard for your employees.
So you could also do that on a temporary basis. Let's say I have an office event in the Frankfurt office or wherever, and I could say, okay, only for this evening, short notice, let's enable so people can get food basically on the company, and no one would need to put forward any expenses or be taken care of.
Yeah, well, that's actually like an even better bridge to the vouchers that we will provide later on. But here we will have our product vouchers available, where we can say a dedicated budget towards a specific location, towards a specific time to provide these meals. And for vouchers, it can be either meals, but it can also be rides, something that we call at Uber for Business the super voucher.
So you could do that also for your clients, right? If you're a consultancy or an independent consultant, you have a workshop and something takes a bit longer as usual or expected, then you could basically ad hoc make an offering there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I'm planning to do with you and the team later.
Thank you. And on the meals, I mean, I see there is a lot of transparency and control, of course, that you can apply. Yeah? Can you also restrict the diet? So I'm thinking of, having burger and fries at 7 in the evenings, probably not so healthy. Is there any, restrictions that you can take as an employer to make sure that your employees also only order healthy food, or do you see that happening?
So, I mean, I think, and if we're looking specifically at like countries, and then in our region, we're looking at Northern Europe. We do like analyze. We're analyzing often what are the top restaurants, and we actually do see that Uber for Business restaurants are always like healthy. But to your point, no, we currently cannot restrict that, and we will also not. Like the reason why is I think it's people do love variety, and as you said, people have different food preferences, and that's exactly what we are offering with Uber Eats. However, we do see that certain companies in their own policy communicate, think of a healthy meal, but at the end of the day, the employees, they can pick their own preference when it comes to food.
Right. Yeah, I think very, very mindful also. So people still have the choice. But at the end of the year, let's say you would have a transparency as an employer, basically, how healthy are your people ordering?
Well, like we don't have in the dashboard yet that we can see how many hamburgers and tacos have been ordered. Although taco, I'm not sure if it's that, don't consider that as that unhealthy. But once again, like there are insights around usage that is available in the dashboard for rides and for Eats.
Okay. And do you have a similar, say, sustainability focus as for the rides with the food as well?
Yes. So also, if we're looking like sustainability is extending to meals as well. So also here, like currently, our with regards to green initiatives. So the lunch, the Uber Eats is an eco-friendly delivery. That's something that we're focusing on very, very strongly. But also, if we're looking at Uber Eats and our journey, we are on a commitment for 2030 to ensure that 100% of our Uber Eats Uber Eats restaurants are transitioning to reusable, recyclable, and compostable packaging. And this is something that we're aiming for to transition globally. So that's with regards to the sustainability road and to our Uber Eats business.
Very impressive. So, what's the mission? What makes Uber Eats for Business unique, and where you're heading?
Well, if we're looking now, I think what makes us unique. I mean, there are a lot of things. It's like looking at the time, I only have 30 minutes, and don't want to take up the whole 30 minutes for that. But on the one hand, if we're looking, what makes us unique is looking at Uber Eats. So currently, we are available in 45 countries. We are in 6,000 cities available. So that's the first thing, like the global exposure that we have for Uber Eats and for Uber Rides. On the other hand, in my opinion, what sets Uber Eats for Business apart is the trend that we see that more companies are using Uber for Business for their lunch journey. And why do we see this more happening, and why do I think that is very unique where we actually tap in, is that currently we do see a shift towards hybrid working. I think it's the hybrid working is presenting on the one hand lots of opportunity and freedom, but on the other hand it's also offering challenging for companies to make sure that employees are getting back into the office. And especially for the companies that are offering catering or have food as a benefit if they're in the office, it is really, really hard to regulate who is coming when to the office. And that challenge results into issues like food waste, but also increasing financial costs. And to that point, so companies strive to have employees back to the office. We see here a number of clients that start with Uber for Business starting lunch program as a solution. And by implementing a structured system where employees have a fixed budget for ordering Uber Eats for lunch with location restrictions, we really do address this concern related to food waste, related to financial cost, but also provide a benefit for employees to get back into the office and have the variety and option to order with Uber Eats. And I think that's, again, like my personal view, one of the unique parts of Uber for Business and a trend that I'm seeing more and more.
Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing, Kim. I think with regards to time also, let's have a look into the comments and ask again, everyone, if you have questions, please submit them so we can tackle them. Kim, maybe to get that Q&A started a little bit, what's been, I mean, you just briefly talked a bit on the trends, for example, people coming more to the office again. And we see that also with Expert Powerhouse on a lot of projects where clients say, yeah, we don't want 100% remote projects, but of course it should be hybrid. So a couple of days in the office, a couple of days basically remote from home. What tech innovations or future developments do you see that will also be there and will change the way consultancies manage travel and food related operations?
Yeah, like two things here, and I will repeat myself, but the first thing top of mind, looking into tech innovation, future developments, it's a massive shift towards sustainability. I mean, once again, like the commitment to be like on the road to zero, to have by 2040 all like cars electric. That's like a future development. So that's with regards to sustainability, and that's the one thing that is for our business very, very much top of mind. But I do believe that within Uber, we're not the only ones where it's top of mind, because it's for the majority of businesses is sustainability top of mind. And then again, like the second point, I do believe that, as I already just mentioned, the Uber for Business lunch programs, it is something that we will see more and more as people are coming back to the office and try to facilitate their employees on certain meals. So those are the two cases that for our Uber for Business are sticking out.
Yeah. And I think also, I mean, making that a seamless journey as you described it, super hassle-free for the consultants and also the consultancies, of course, is a key element probably to get that solution on board if you're a company owner. Yeah. And of course, there is a lot of reporting often required. Yeah. We touched base on it. Do you see, that reporting that you can provide also becoming part of the company reporting? Do you have some, cases where companies even said, look, let's work closer together and creating insights also maybe from the data that you have? If you have, thousands of employees traveling on Uber, generating insights, patterns that help basically optimizing the business and making it even better?
Yeah, well, data is the new oil. And if we're looking in terms of reporting and the insights that we're providing for companies, so again, with the Uber for Business dashboard, you get a lot of detailed insights to your travel and food expenses. So again, like usage, like insights, lots of insights and data is there. And what we do see is that with this data, we help the business to make informed decisions. So it's and of course it's not only about data, because at the end of the day, it's a roadmap to optimize and to become more efficient as a business. But to your point, like we do see that the data that we're providing are helping our customers to make informed decisions on certain policies that we're having internally. So the answer would be yes.
Great. So maybe last question, if some of our participants today would like to get in touch, could they reach out directly to you? How would you basically set up Uber for Business as a company owner
or an independent consultant? Yeah. So as an ex-LinkedIn member, not an ex-LinkedIn member, but as an ex-LinkedIn employee, you can obviously always reach out to me directly. But I'm also happy to provide you with the right POCs in terms of countries. So I think, long story short, reach out to me via LinkedIn, and I will make sure to direct you into with the right POC at Uber for Business. Amazing. Kim, thank you very much for taking the time today. I think it was a very informative session. I learned a lot about streamlined travel expense management, and that there is a quite good solution out there, which is easy to implement at no cost. Maybe final comments from your end. What would be the 3 things you would give to our participants today? The final 3 things. Well, I think, how late is it? It's almost 6 o'clock. Well, in the Netherlands we eat at 6. So my first thing is we'll do order Uber Eats tonight, but do order it with Uber for Business. No, the 3 things at core. The expense-free life that we're here for, sustainability and safety. Those are really the 3 things that I do hope that people will remember how Uber for Business is making an impact towards those 3 specific things. Thank you, Kim. And of course, thanks for being here, taking the time today. I wish you all the best with Uber. And of course, also thank you everyone else who joined today. And I'd like to invite you to follow our LinkedIn Live sessions going forward, and not to miss, of course, any interesting sessions we're going to have in the future. We will later after the event also announce the winners of the vouchers. So hope to make some people extra happy today. And once again, thanks for joining us today. Take care and see you. Bye bye.